What is up, guys? So if you guys have been watching, I've been doing a lot to the Aristo. Cooling mods, things that were necessities, and then there were the might as well while I'm there. And then there were things that, just kind of happened organically because of other things. But all that stuff is done. It runs, it revs, it sounds great. Honestly, I think it's quieter than it was before as far as the engine. The belt was a little iffy, so you guys would have seen that in a different video. But what I'm working on tonight is kind of buttoning everything up, but also the first, kind of ricer mod. But this is everything I'm doing is kind of prepping for other things. So, might as well, while I'm here, can snowball pretty bad. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. So what I've been doing tonight is fabricating a hard pipe for the cold side of the charge pipes. But there's a reason. So check it out. All right, guys. So like I said, this is what I've been working on tonight. I already fabricated this part, but I have to add a bung. So I have this guy here. 1/8 inch NPT. Why do I need a bung in this charge pipe? Intake air temp. The factory intake air temp is actually up here in the intake manifold, and it tends to heat soak. But why would I need another intake air temperature sensor? Well, I think this might tell you one thing. So this is the air temp sensor I'm using. 1/8 inch NPT. Haltech. All right. So obviously you guys get the gist. I am putting a Haltech on this, but not for the reason you would think. I am going to put a Haltech on this thing to basically data log everything. So before I start taking control of anything like injectors or ignition or boost control, anything like that, I'm actually going to see exactly what the factory computer is doing with the transmission. So, going to do some testing there, get some information, figure out what the factory computer does to shift this thing. Mainly for information for work, but, the byproduct of this, again, might as well make the harness to where I am able to start taking over things like the injectors and the ignition and the boost control, stuff like that. So, right now what I'm doing is prepping the car for all of that. So we want the intake air temp sensor to read pre-throttle body. That's what we prefer. Obviously you can use the one in the intake manifold, but it tends to heat soak, especially when it sits in traffic. So we'll have a little bit more accurate reading of what the engine is ingesting like that. But again, while I'm there, what else am I doing? I'm putting a blow-off valve on it. I'm getting rid of the stock one. I have a Tial Q, one of the original Q. It's a 50 millimeter Q blow-off valve. So because it's a hard pipe, I can do that now. The only other thing, let me show you guys. So you guys can kind of see down in there. I've got it laying down in there. I've just been mocking up the flange. I had that. I have a clamp, new O-ring. One of their beautifully machined little banjo fittings, but enough about that. I'll show you guys that when I get it out. It is used, it's from the Lexus, because I run a QRJ on that car. So, the fun part about this, I don't need 2 blow-off valves. The factory blow-off valve is here. Of course, it's O-ringed. And the one thing that I noticed is this thing was pulling oil into the, the charge pipes and everything, and you can see that this O-ring is actually leaking a little bit. So I need to fix that. But I can't just block this off here, or this will open and bypass under boost, because it needs to have pressure on the dome to actually keep it shut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually machine a piece to go in here with an O-ring. So that's what I'm going to take you guys along with. It's something that you guys haven't seen on this channel, some actual machining. But this is going to be hopefully kind of a short deal. Yeah. I'm going to finish this charge pipe. I got to bead roll it, add the air temp sensor, and add the blow-off valve. Then that's done. I'm actually going to use the original hose hole in the intake manifold for the PCV valve. It's the right size for the blow-off valve. Just run a line over there. The one in the back is going to end up being used for the Haltech. So it'll get its map reference from the back of the intake manifold with a committed line going inside to the ECU itself. So this will get blocked off, this will get blocked off, and kind of simplifying things by complicating things, I guess. But I'm going to get everything modified, weld it up. You guys will see it outside of the car, and then we'll go machine this thing. All right, guys, so believe it or not, road miles are actually just as hard, maybe sometimes harder than race miles. You know, drag racing, 6 to 15 seconds at a time. Now, those 6-second cars are making a lot of horsepower. Drift stuff, you know, obviously you can bang into each other and you guys can beat the cars up, but like if you're not making a bunch of horsepower, it's maybe a minute at a time with some cooldown. If you're hot lapping, that's obviously hard on it, but you know, stop and go traffic, weather, beating on the car, sitting, you know, like heat, AC, etc. It's really hard on street cars. So make sure you guys use good products because the car also has to get you where you are going. That's another big one. Race cars are usually at a racetrack, and you might have a trailer with you. Not a big deal. You know, pushing something on the trailer sucks, but it's not like having to like call your buddies, get a trailer, get your street car back home. So use good products on that. I'm gonna get the blow-off valve and everything put on the pipe, put the pipe in the car, get it all tightened down, get the air temp sensor and everything put on, plumb it up, but then I'm going to take you guys over to my dad's side of the shop because I don't have that much time left, but I do want to get the block-off plate, or the block-off bung, made for the other blow-off valve because we can't have both. It'd be silly. So, okay, cool. It's in, plumbed. Was able to run a line underneath everything, keep it away from the throttle cable and everything. Air temp sensors in, blow-off valves in and tight, all of that. They have such nice stuff. It just shows how much older that piece is. Everything else is new. The clamp and everything else is all brand new, and their machine work is just beautiful from Tial. They do some nice stuff, those guys. Nice guys, too. Met them at PRI a few years ago. They've always been super nice. But yeah, the engine bay is really coming together. Got to get a catch can built up for over here so that these guys go in. I made a hard line because the original overflow line was metal and it came through here, but it didn't work. So the radiator's a lot wider. So I just used some, I think this is -6, like hard line that I had left over from when I did the fuel system on the Lexus. Put some little like rubber isolators so it didn't vibrate here and here and here, and it goes over there. Looks pretty good. Clean this all out. Got some factory Toyota red in there. Yeah, I'm still got to take this thing out. Right now it currently runs, so I guess technically I could just have 2, but that's got to go. Got to use the Tial. Much nicer. Be ready for turning this thing up. So probably get that thing off. All right. Got the old blow-off valve off, and I'm pretty sure it was leaking. Boost, oil, charge pressure, all of that. Check it out real quick. So, kind of expected the hose ripped, but see that O-ring? It's kind of like almost like a conical seal kind of deal. Yeah, it's has zero resistance at all. Like when you go to turn it, basically as soon as the bolt came out, it was rattling around. And that seal is hard as a rock. So we could be fixing a boost leak here. Yeah. I measured the inside diameter of this, and it's 20 millimeters. I have a little stash of O-rings. Gonna take this. I've got a hunk of aluminum that I've already machined some parts out of before, but I'm gonna machine the piece out of here, and as you guys can see, I have 2 O-rings on my finger. I'm going to double O-ring this thing, and it's going to fit inside. It won't be the conical seal anymore, but luckily that has a nice edge to get this thing to where it should just pop in really nice. Yeah, so what we'll do, I will machine the part that's actually going to be the seal, which is actually machined down quite a bit. And then what will need to happen is I just need to like chop a slice off basically what I machined down so that the bolt can have something to go through. So that piece of material looks extra big. And it really is. It is. And luckily I've already machined it down most of the way. But yeah, it needs something to have a bolt to go through, obviously. This right here has that bolt. And yeah, it might not be like the most beautiful thing, but this is what I have. And it's round, so we can put it in the lathe. So let's go machine this thing down, let you guys see the process, I guess. Alright guys, sorry for the lighting in here, it's a little bit flickery. It's kind of cold, the ballasts haven't really warmed up. But you can see here, my 2 O-ring grooves. This is just my cut line, so I'm going to take it up, put it on the bandsaw. The tooling for the cutoff was chattering a little bit, so I'm just going to use the big bandsaw for it, cut it off, come down here, true it up. Then it'll get a hole. It's probably going to be a little bit wonky and kind of offset, but pretty happy with that. Pretty neat. Alright, that's that. These lights are really tripping me out, but probably what's going to have to happen, if I had to guess, is basically one little edge is going to have to just be basically filed flat, and you use a washer to hold it in. This thing's going to be so tight, it's not going to really matter as long as, you know, I mean, just needs to not blow out. It's double O-ringed and everything, so it's not going to, you know, leak. If it just basically needs to not fall out. So just put basically a bolt with a large washer to hold it kind of in, and then it can almost be like turned wherever, but it's kind of pretty. Show you guys what this thing looks like once it's installed. All right, got the flat on it, put my O-rings on. Something really, I love this. Look at that. Way too nice for what I'm doing, but really satisfying for myself. And it's going to go right over in there. Nobody's ever going to see it. Oh well. Alright, there she is installed. I kind of wish that I had actually filmed putting it in because it was really satisfying. A little pop in there. Double O-ring definitely is sealed. I can just barely turn this thing now, and there's a little slot on the bottom to accommodate the bolt, which is going to be this guy right here. Gotta tighten that down, but that's finished. Now I just have to block that off with something. Alright. That's that. I had a piece of aluminum. It was already like drilled. Obviously it's got to stop in there. This is no pressure, so I just put some zip ties on it for now, and this hose fit really hard, or really tight. It was very tight. So that's just suction. So that's good. That's good. Put the intake back on. That's it. Alright guys, so I had this thing running here for a few minutes. I decided to add a little elbow here. I just got things out of the way a little bit. Got my little guy there, guy here. I think sounds pretty good. Alright guys, so this is going to be it for this video. There is more stuff coming. I am trying like crazy to get this car ready to go on our trip. I still have to build a catch can and run some lines. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. A little bit of different, a little bit of actual fabrication, everything like that. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that I did wrong, or if you enjoyed it. Either way, I want you guys to enjoy this content, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.